No peace without freedom, no justice without law. Under this banner, the Ukrainian human rights defender Oleksandra Matviichuk addresses the Europeans in the heart of Vienna on the Europe Day, the 9th of May.
When you know history, it's impossible to idealize.
Hello, Oleksandra. So happy to see you here today in Vienna.
Nice to meet you.
Why do you think it's important to speak out today to Europeans here in Vienna?
Because it's not just a war between two states, Russia and Ukraine. This is a war between two systems, authoritarianism and democracy. And Putin tried to convince the whole world that democracy, human rights and rule of law are fake values, because they couldn't protect you during the war. Putin tried to convince the whole world that strong state with a military potential and nuclear power can dictate its rules to the entire international community. And it's not only a problem of Ukrainians to respond to this claim. This is a challenge for the whole world.
What are the most important outlines that you would like to tell Europeans today?
I think that a lot of people abroad don't understand what does it mean to live during the large-scale invasion. Ukrainians need peace much more than anyone else. But peace will not come if country which was invaded stop fighting. It will not be a peace, it will be occupation. And occupation is horrible. Occupation, it means Russian terror, torture and death. It's just another form of the war.
What's the outcome that you expect from this event?
I know from my own experience that when you can't rely upon a legal instrument or onto entire UN system, you still can always rely on people. And people have a much more greater impact than they can even imagine. We are fighting for freedom, which have no limitation in national borders. And I ask people in Austria for solidarity, because the only spread of freedom make our world safer.
Thank you so much for the interview and for being here today in Vienna.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Misha. So happy to see you here today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
So how did the idea of Europe Day start?
Well, it started way back in 2019, which is when we had the first Europe Day. It was the idea of Boris Marta, who is the head of the Erste Stiftung, the foundation of Austria's largest bank, of course. And Boris decided that it would be important to mark the 9th of May, which is, of course, victory in Europe, the defeat of fascism, and that a good place to do it would be here on Judenplatz. And at the time, Timothy Snyder, who is the historian of Ukraine and also a fellow at the Institute for Human Sciences, of which I'm rector, was in Vienna, and they agreed that he would hold the talk. And it was a very big success. Such a success, in fact, that when it came to deciding who are we going to have this year for the speech to Europe, of course, the pandemic brought it to an end temporarily. We had to think of somebody really special. And after racking our brains, we thought Oleksandra was the perfect person to do it. And I don't doubt it for a minute.
What's the mission that this day carries?
Well, what we're trying to do is to make sure that people remember, A, what this day means, B, that all the expectations and hopes we had in 1989 after the revolutions in Eastern Europe and the former Soviet Union, that all those expectations, which have been tragically confounded by the dreadful war in Ukraine and the invasion by Russia of Ukraine on February the 24th, 2022, We want people to know that this goal of never seeing fascism, never seeing war in Europe and elsewhere in the world is one that we really have to work very, very hard for. That you can't just expect to live in peace, you have to fight for peace. And I think that's really the key mission of this event.
How do you think such events can support Ukraine and Ukrainians today?
Initially, everyone wanted to follow what was going on. Everyone found the whole thing incredibly dramatic. Everyone wanted to support Ukraine, or most people certainly, in Europe and the United States. And now it's become a little bit in the background, a little bit of part of the furniture. And so by bringing Oleksandra Matviichuk here, what we are doing is we are making a small contribution, but all these contributions are important to reminding Europe that the most terrible thing is going on and we have to do something about it.
Thank you so much for the interview and for being here with me today.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot.
Ordinary people have much more power than they themselves realize. The voice of millions of people in many countries can change the world faster than any intervention by the United Nations.